Hi, Jason Spears here, and I want to talk to you about a very serious problem that many pre-med students have this time of year. You're studying for the MCAT, the Medical College Admissions Test. Why? Because you want to get into medical school and you want to become a doctor. The MCAT is one step that's preventing you from getting into medical school. And it's also the last part of the medical school application process that you have complete control over. Because by the time you actually sit down for the MCAT, your GPA is pretty much set in stone and it's not going to change. That means if you put all your effort, energy, and studying into the MCAT, it can open doors to you for a career in medicine, but you have to take the MCAT very seriously. I know for a lot of students, you're out there studying, or you heard rumors about the MCAT, what it takes to excel on an exam, and you're concerned. Maybe you already cracked an MCAT prep book, you're doing problems, you're doing questions, and things just aren't working out for you. Throughout your pre med career, how did you get by? You memorize. You just memorize everything that you needed to do to pass the test, and then as soon as the test was over, you basically forgot everything and you moved on to the next class, the next semester, not realizing that everything that you memorized for those exams are going to now come back and haunt you because you need to use it on the MCAT. So this is a problem that a lot of pre-meds experience, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world for you or that you don't have a career in medicine and that you're not going to do well on the MCAT. There's things that you can do to get what to do better on the MCAT, but I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was in your situation. I was in your shoes. I was a senior at Northwestern University and I was studying for the MCAT. I took a MCAT prep course. I was doing all the practice problems. I was doing all the readings. But no matter what I would do, my MCAT score just wouldn't change. I just felt like I was wasting a lot of time putting all this energy and effort into it, and there was nothing to show for my score. And I was getting very frustrated with the process because I did well academically in undergrad, but then I wasn't having success on the MCAT. And I was just confused because I was working, doing problems, and just nothing was changing. I was asking other people what they were doing, what additional resources they recommended, and it just wasn't working. And finally, one day, it all changed. I spoke with a physician who's an MD, PhD. He was at the University of Chicago, Pritzker School of Medicine, and he was very familiar with standardized tests, and he showed me a way to actually study and prepare for the MCAT that totally changed my entire outlook on preparing for standardized tests and gave me the keys to success. So I spent a couple months, at least 2 to 3 months, studying on my own using the practice course, and I wasn't making any progress. And my MCAT test date was fast approaching. But then, after speaking with this physician mentor, I decided to push back my test date by a month and then totally and only exclusively use his strategies, and it allowed me to have success on the MCAT. So who am I? I'm Jason Spears. I'm the founder of drpremed.com, and I'm the creator of the MCAT Mastery Companion Course. And I want to tell you right now, I'm a fourth year medical student. So I've taken the MCAT, I went through my board exams, I've taken many exams in medical school. It's more than I care to admit. I believe in my first year of medical school, there were over 60 exams that we've taken, and so I'm very well versed in what type of studying, academics, exams, and tests that you need to do. And along the years, I picked up some tricks and well, not just tricks, but strategies, tips, and skills to help you be successful in whatever type of test that you're preparing for, but in particular, the MCAT. So, more about my background. I was a pre med in undergrad at Northwestern University, but I was a political science major, and so I took my pre med coursework at Harvard Summer School as well. I went on to Boston University School of Medicine, where I got my master's degree. and I'm currently a fourth year medical student in New York City, loving all about medicine, everything like that. Finding it's very great to be out of the classroom in the hospital doing my clinical rotations. And so that's just great. And as I want to now go on and talk to you a little bit more specifically about some of the problems that you're having when you're preparing for the MCAT. All your life, throughout your pre med classes, you've been told to memorize, memorize. If you just study the crib notes, the cheat sheets, and whatever equations, you're going to do well. But that's not how the MCAT works. The MCAT is a test that wants to test your ability to think like a doctor, to be a physician. So there's things in there that you're just not going to see or not going to know, and there's nothing that you can do to prepare for that if you just go into it thinking you need to memorize. Instead, you need to understand basic concepts and be able to apply that to new situations, because you have to remember the test writer is always going to know more than you. That's just something that you have to go in there realizing and understanding, that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to feel like they came completely from left field that you have no control over. But if you learn how to change how you think and start looking at concepts and how you can apply those to new situations, it's going to help you on the MCAT and throughout your medical career. And that's what I'm going to help you to do. Because you have to think as a doctor, you're going to have somebody who's going to come to you as a patient. They may be conscious or unconscious, and you have to think, you have to take a history and a physical. And the first thing you have to think is, what's the most likely thing to kill this patient right now? That's the number one thing you have to rule out. And then from there, you have to make your differential diagnosis, is thinking, okay, what most likely does this patient have next? Based on the signs that he has, based on the labs I've ordered, what do I think is going on with this patient? And that's what the MCAT's going to do for you. And that's why it's not going to be pure memorization, because you have to think like a doctor, and patients don't present like textbook cases. You have to think outside the box and apply your knowledge to what you think's going on. So you have your labs, you have your history, you did your physical exam, and you put all of those pieces of the puzzle together to say, okay, I most likely believe that this is what the patient has. And that's how the MCAT's working for you as well. They want to see if you can think like that, taking all the pieces of the question, the clinical vignette, the data that's in there, there's charts, graphs, and all of that other information, the multiple answer choices, and see if you're the type of student that's going to get flustered under the pressure and not do well, or you're going to be able to methodically work through all of that information, do well, and put all the pieces together. And for you, when you're studying for the MCAT, that means you're getting the answer choice correct. And if you're not, then that's why medical schools don't accept you into medical school, because they say if you can't think like you need to on the MCAT, that tells us that you're not going to be able to think like a doctor. And again, the MCAT's a task to prepare you to start thinking like a doctor. And so what I've done for you is I put together this course that you can use with what other study materials you're using. If you're using Next Step Test Prep, if you're using Kaplan, if you're using Princeton, if you're using Exam Crackers, if you're using Berkeley, this is supposed to be a companion course, so it goes along with those materials. Those materials are going to teach you the hard science that you need to know, the basic things that you need to know. Well, not just the hard science. There's a cars section, sociology, psychology, all of that. They're going to teach you that, the content. But I'm going to teach you how to apply the content so you can do well on the MCAT. So I encourage you to use those other resources to get your foundation. But then this is going to be an added layer to get you past the frustration, the pain, agony, and anxiety, and just every other emotion that you're feeling and you're trying to prepare for the MCAT and things aren't going along as well. I have a system that's proven, it works, it gets results. Students are very happy. They walk away saying that, you're right, Jason. I went into my exam. There were things I didn't know, but I relied on the basic teachings that you taught me, especially how to go through a problem in a systematic approach. and that really saved me on questions. And your cars technique was excellent. It's something that I never would have thought of doing on myself, because most people, they just tell you to read more, but that's not what you do for the car section. Don't just think you need to go read randomly across all these different subjects to get you used to doing a car section. I have a technique that a lawyer taught me that's going to work wonders for your cars section score, and it's brilliant. It was one of the things I learned when I was preparing for the MCAT, and I definitely need to share it with you, so you're going to get access to that in the program. And so what my offer is to you is I have my MCAT Mastery Companion Course available for you right now. So you can go click below this, learn more details about the program, and put yourself on this path to medical school success by doing well on the MCAT, so you can get into medical school and become a doctor. But I want you to act now. You have to realize that over 60% of people who apply to medical school don't get in, they're rejected. And you need to find a way to stand out amongst the competition. And the easiest, surest way to do that is your MCAT score. That's the one that AdComs look at the most. It's given the most weight when you're applying to medical school. So you need to give it the attention that it's due, because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of medical schools use computers to screen your application, and they have minimum MCAT cutoff scores and also GPA requirements. So if you don't meet the minimums on that, everything else that you've done as a pre-med, all your extracurriculars, all your volunteering, all your shadowing, your personal statement, your letters of recommendation, that means absolutely nothing, because no human ever even took a look at your application. The computer screened you out and you put in a rejection pile. So I don't want this to happen to you. I want you to be successful. I want you to get into medical school. I don't want to see any MCAT retakes. We don't do that with my program, the MCAT Mastery Companion Course. We don't do retakes, because the MCAT's a test you want to take once and only once. And I'm going to give you the tools, the knowledge, and strategies so that you can do that. And I know you're thinking, okay, that's a lot. These are high promises, but I promise, with a 90-day money back guarantee, if you're not satisfied, if you don't like it, if you don't see your score improving, just contact me and I'll give you complete refund, no questions asked. So I'm taking on all the risks. You have nothing to worry about. I want you to be successful. So go ahead, click the button below, and get yourself on the path to MCAT Mastery and make your dreams come true, where you can finally be on the path to medical school and have your white coat ceremony coming up in a few short months. But it all begins with doing well on the MCAT, and I have the strategies, the tools, the tips, and everything so that you can start thinking like a doctor now and excel in your MCAT. So don't wait. Act now with the MCAT Mastery Companion Course, brought to you by Jason from drpremed.com. Thanks.